In this session, we would be taking further the logic of twin axis, something which we have already done in Matplotlib also. So the logic of twin axis is very simple that you want two Y ranges. One Y range would be for describing the relationship between one data set and the other Y range for describing the relationship between other data set. So let's say I have three data sets with me, the X data set, the Y data set, and the Y2 data set. All right. So X data set is different, Y data set is different, and Y2 data set is different. I want to plot the relationship between X and Y and Y2 in the same plot area. Okay. So now what I want to do, I want to use the twin axis methodology. So one y-axis would be explaining the relationship between x and y data, and the other y-axis would be explaining the relationship between x and y2. All right. So I want to have two plots in the same plot area, one between x and y, the second between x and y2. Now to add the plot between x and y, I need to pass on this function. So fig equal to figure, the title and the range. So my first y-axis should have range between -1.1 and 1.1. And on this axis, I want to plot a line plot between x and y. Okay, between x and y with color equal to red. Now for the other plot, which is between x and y2, I want to first add an extra y range because we are using twin axis methodology. So now to add an extra y range, this is the function you want to pass. The next range, the other range you want to mention is y2, and the range ID, I have explained the range ID concept earlier also, that range IDs are used to add the range of the axis. So this other y axis has to give me or I want the range to be between 0 and 100. And once I have given the y range, then I need to add the y-axis on the right hand side. So I will use the dot add layout function. So fig dot add underscore layout. So I want a linear axis with y range name as y2 and on the right hand side. Finally, once I have added the extra y-axis or the additional y-axis on the right hand side, now I want plot the new line glyph between x and y2, and this will be the following function: fig dot line x y2. This is the second plot that I want to place in the same plot area with a color blue, and I want to name the y range as y2. As simple as it is. Let's say for example, this is a similar example above. So I have placed all the things together in at one single place. So I want to place the x series using the arrange function. The arrange function will this means there are three parameters that you can see here. Now this function returns evenly arranged numbers. So the range numbers would be between this and this, these two parameters, -2 into pi and 2 into pi. So this function would give me evenly spaced numbers between these two parameters, and the difference between each value should be 0.1. That's how this function works. Y would produce a sine series of x values. So whatever would be the x, y would be the sine series of x. And y2, I have used the line space function. So I want to produce numbers between 0 to 100 and length equal to y. So that means the total number of points that I want to produce would be equal to the length of this y variable. That's the length function. Then once I have set up my data, I want to import the necessary functions or the parameters. So from bokeh.plotting interface, I would make the necessary imports, and then I have put up one additional import. So from bokeh.models, now this is different interface. This is separate interface that I have used here. So from bokeh.models, I have import linear axis and range ID. These two extra functions have been imported. So again, first you want to plot the relationship between x and y. So these two will plot that relationship. first you have to define the figure parameters, the title or width or plot area height if you want to specify. Otherwise, the the function will take it itself, and the y range that I want to define between -1.1 to 1.1. Now that's a big comfort. This facility was not available with Matplotlib. In Matplotlib, the scale or the y ranges are taken automatically. Here you have an option where you can define the y range within the function, and then fig.line, which is x, y. So you want to plot between x and y with the color red. Then for the other plot, first you need to add the y range. So I want to add a y range between 0 and 100. So I have used the range ID function. And then we want to have fig dot layout methodology. This is what I want to use. So I'm adding an additional y-axis with the range name y2 and right hand side. And then finally the fig dot line. That's the plot that I want to produce, which is between x and y2 with a blue color. And then finally the show fig. Once you do that, this is what you will get as in your output. Okay, so let's see the interface. So this is what the same function. First, I will produce the required series. So three data sets I have: x, y, and y2. So one I have want to plot between x and y, and the other I want to plot between y and y. Sorry, x and y2. Then making the necessary imports. There's an additional import that we have done here. Then this will give you the plot between x and y, and this will add the additional y range, this will add the additional y-axis, and this will finally plot the line between x and y2. And let's see whether the output goes that way or not. And yes, so this sine wave is showcasing the relationship between x and y, and this single line that you are seeing, this straight line, is explaining the relationship between x and y2. That's how twin axis can be used. The next that we can do is the date time axis. Now, when you're dealing with the time series data, which we have done earlier as well, when I was explaining you the matplotlib functionality, in a date time axis, it's again important that in time series data, it is important that date time axis should be taken, because you want dates or times on one side of the axis. So normally x-axis is taken as the date or the times, and in certain cases it is very desirable that you have to consider different date and time scales. Okay, so the logic is absolutely same of what we have discussed in Matplotlib earlier. Okay, so first you have to suppose I have imported the required data frame file, the bank.csv. I hope you remember in Matplotlib as well we have used the same CSV. We showcase the values of HDFC Bank stocks and the ICICI Bank stocks. Then you have to convert date into date time axis, and then finally place it as an index. Then make the bokeh imports, whatever necessary imports are required. And then finally, these are the two things. First, making the figure parameters. So p equal to figure. So that's the plot width and the plot height I want. And I want x-axis type to be named as date time, because that's what we are doing. And then finally, I want to plot the line. So p dot line df dot index. So this will take date on the x-axis. And then suppose I want to plot ICICI Bank here, uh, color navy and alpha. Alpha, I told you, will darken or lighten the shade of whatever you are using. Okay, so if you use it on the interface, that's the interface. Okay, so this is the necessary import or loading the data frame file, and then these two, the first will set the date to date time, uh, and the second would uh, convert date into the index. Okay, it will set dates as the date column as the index column, and then finally making the necessary bokeh imports, and then you need to define the figure parameters, and then finally you need to plot the line. Once you do that, what you get is a typical time series plot, and this is how it works. Now, if you compare it with the Matplotlib, the same thing we have done in Matplotlib, if you compare the two plots, the way two plots have been represented, the matplotlib one and this one, you'll find a wide array of difference. This is too interactive. Now, with the help of these tools, you can interact with this plot. You can focus on one single area as you want. Now, this functionality was not available with matplotlib. Moreover, if you don't do anything, if you just visualize this plot like this, the clarity is much more as compared to the to a matplotlib figure. So there in matplotlib, if you want to increase the figure size, then you have to give a specific parameter. Here you don't want it. The bokeh will automatically, you know, uh, uh, will make it interactive with the help of these tools. So these tools were not available with the what we have done in matplotlib or the cbon. So that's where the bokeh empowers you. It empowers you with a lot of extra stuff that you can use. All right. So even if this is the this is how what you can see. Okay. So this is the plot of ICICI Bank. Okay. We have used the same thing what we have done with the matplotlib, except the functions have changed. In bokeh we have changed little bit of functionality, and obviously in bokeh if you do the same work, then you get these extra tools which and you can also introduce other tools apart from this to visualize this data better. So that's the date time axis. So now this is what I have done. If I want to plot both the series in the same area, like I want to plot the relationship between date and ICICI and the date and HDFC Bank on the in the same plot area, then I can use the same logic that I have discussed above, the twin axis logic. Okay, so that's the figure parameter. Okay, this is adding the extra y range. So I want to add the range between 0 and 500 for the additional y range, and this p add underscore logout would finally add the y-axis. And then I want to plot two lines now. One line I want to plot between the date and the ICICI Bank, and the other line I want to plot between the date and the HDFC Bank. Okay, simple as it is. The same logic of 10x's I have used, only now the plotting is different. Now I'm plotting between different things. I'm using the date time axis as well. So if you do this, this is the necessary code that we have put up. Okay, and if you run this, now you can see you have both the plots. So if you just want to play with this, you can definitely use this pan tool, and you want to focus on a certain area. See how it expands. Now this is the beauty of this plot. You can do any type of expanding, or for better visualization, it gives you a lot of tools. You want to focus on certain area, just simply zoom it and focus on that certain area. That's the power of using bokeh. Okay, so this is simple, the twin axis methodology. So I have taken the time series example as well to give you more clarity of in of the ways with which you can work uh, on the twin axis. The next what we have is how to add annotations and legends. So annotations are basically the explanatory text which you add to your diagram. So that basically uh, tell the visualizer or the learner better about your plotting or the plot what you have formed. So you can make annotations by different ways, maybe by specifying plot titles, which we have been doing so far, or the labels for the x and y axis. So when you specify the labels or when you specify the title, that is also a type of annotation what you are doing. Or you can introduce text labels anywhere in the plot area. So if you want to introduce a particular label somewhere in the plot area, focusing, marking on certain area, that is also viable, possible with the help of bokeh. So let's say, for example, the figure parameters, title, x-axis and y-axis level. That's all the things which I have been doing so far. So making the necessary bokeh imports, I have imported numpy and math function here also. So my one series is x equal to np.arrange. So this will give me the evenly spaced values between 0 and math.py into 2. So this is basically pi value is 3.14, and the difference between values should be 0.05. That is how this function works. And the other series y would be the sign values of x. Okay, so this is my x and y. So setting the figure parameters, title I want to place as sine wave example, then x-axis label I want to name as angle, and y-axis label I want to name as sine. Finally, I want to plot the line between x and y. So I have mentioned some additional parameters like the width of the line that I want and the legend that I want to name. So legend underscore label I want to name as numpy, and then finally the show fig. Okay, so simple. You can customize your legends as well. Like as I told you that the default location is on the right. So if you want to change the location of your legends, then you can do fig.legend.location function that can be introduced. And if you want to have titles of fig.legend.title, you can change title. If you want to have want to change the title text font, font with which it is highlighted, that is also viable with the help of this function fig.legend.title underscore text underscore font. So that can be done. And then finally, if you want to have font size, that is also viable. So there are variety of ways through which you can customize your legend. All right, the variety of functions that you can use. So it is totally on you to what extent you want to use them. Bokeh provides you lot of stuff. So if suppose let's plot this on the using the interface. So this is my interface. Okay, so I have defined two series, the x and the y series. Okay, and then finally I want to figure parameters. These are the figure parameters. So automatically the required explanations are right within the all the annotations or whatever I want to do is within the figure functionality only. And then finally I want to plot the line. So I have introduced legend here, legend underscore label, and if I do that, this is what I get. So now if you see, there's a legend on the right hand side, the numpy, and then the title and the x and y axis are obviously there. Okay, so this is how this works. Okay, with some extra tools that you can definitely use to customize your legends with title, location, font size, and so on. You can also the text of the title or the access label can also be specified. Okay, so these are the functions that you can use. So if you want to change the title of the text, sorry, titles text, then fig.title.text can be used. You want to label the x-axis, you want to make the appropriate change in the axis labels. So if you want to make the change in x-axis label, this is what you can do. If you want to change the y-axis label, this is the function you can use. Then location is also very much possible to change. You want to change the title location, so fig.title.align can be used. You won't not want to change the text color, this function can be used. You want to change the font size, then fig.title.text underscore font underscore size can be used. If you want to change the background color, then the changing of background color option is also available. So variety of options that you can use to customize your plot, to beautify a plot, to gain better visualizations, and so on. So that's what Bokeh empowers you with. Okay, so that's the next section would be the pandas, though I have covered it when I was using the bank CSV file above, but still I would like to showcase something extra to you so that you gain that viable insight. So that's all for this session, and we'll meet in the next session. Till that time, happy plotting.